What's a name that seemingly disappeared from the web overnight? I think Taco Bell just went so extreme in streamlining/simplifying the menu that they went overboard. Now most of what they have is just a remix of the few basic ingredients that they have, so most of the food is going to taste the similar no matter how much you mix the same items. Right before COVID hit, someone convinced me to go to a Taco Bell cantina in downtown Chicago. They had a handful unique items to the menu and unique freeze flavors. It was hands down a 100% better experience. Edit: I've gotten a lot of DMs asking where is the cantina in downtown Chicago. I think it's 205 East Ohio St, but it's been like a year and a half since I've been there. Some people have said it's closed while others have said they were just there. Not sure of the actual status. Death of Keith Ratliff. On January 3, 2013, a Kentucky man named Keith Ratliff, the CEO-owner of FPS Industries, a custom firearms fabrication and testing company, and a member of the FPS Russia production team, was found shot dead in his home in Carnesville, Georgia. 18-19-20 Ratliff held a federal firearms license, FFL, and was responsible for obtaining the firearms used in the videos. 21 Following Ratliff's death, the production of FPS Russia's videos went on hiatus until February 19, 2013. 22 In March 2013, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, said it was still investigating. 23 However, as there have been no official updates since the initial reports following Ratliff's death, 24 the case has become the subject of numerous conspiracy theories. 25 ATF raids. On March 29, 2013, Myers Franklin County residence was searched by upwards of 40 members of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives alongside officers from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. The investigators also searched Myers's father's nearby farm, a frequent filming location for FPS Russia. ATF spokesman Richard Coase said the justification for the search was that Myers was using explosives and getting paid for it via YouTube. 26-27. In August 2017, Myers' residence was again raided 28 by ATF and GBI agents, 29 after Myers was alleged to have received 25 grams of butane hash oil through the mail. The Department of Justice prosecuted on the grounds that illegal drug possession while owning a firearm is a federal offense. Myers was arrested for felony possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, and 50 of his weapons were confiscated under Section 922, G.3, of the Gun Control Act of 1968, which prohibits illegal drug users from possessing firearms. He later pleaded guilty to possession with intent to distribute marijuana and butane hash oil, with all other charges dismissed. 30 On June 19, 2019, Myers was sentenced to 2 years probation and 2 months in prison, which he served later in 2019, as well as a fine in the amount of $7,500. Since his release from prison, Myers has spoken about the case on his YouTube podcast Painkiller already. You wanna know my favorite thing about Gary Condit? So there was a congressman named Jim Traficant, who got convicted of taking bribes and I can't even remember all what else, and was about to go to prison for 10 years. Traficant was supposed to resign, but decided to make the House throw him out instead, and just generally decided to go out in a blaze of glory. Traficant gave press conferences where he accused the House leadership of, quote, sniffing his crotch, defended himself without an attorney, and just did and said all kinds of crazy things. He wasn't crazy, just wanted to give everyone a show in his last few weeks before going away to prison, and was just simply out of fucks to give. Finally, the vote comes, and Traficant is of course expelled. The sole vote to keep him in the House? Gary Condit, who, in his last 2 months in office, was also completely out of fucks to give. Adrian of Adrian's Kickback. Basically the story is this kid named Adrian and his friends sent out invites to their school for his birthday party in Huntington Beach. People from that school sent out other invites to their friends and it eventually went viral. Over a couple days over hundreds and thousands of people were saying they were going to go. People even traveled across the country to get there. 2,500 people showed up, and since the party was meant to be small there was nothing to do, so a riot broke out and tons of shit at the beach was destroyed. Adrian never showed up either, by the way. He got in a lot of trouble but became an instant celebrity. Everyone was waiting for the next party. Then in about a week everyone moved on and his fame died down fast. I followed him on IG and he would do occasional live streams. His viewer count went from 20k to 65 in a month. Time on the internet moves fast. I think there were a lot of factors that lead to his popularity. When kids and teenagers go online, they tend to go towards what they are familiar with. I think with Shane Dawson, they related to the depression and the random bursts of energy, very common in that age group. When you like someone, you subconsciously don't want to see the bad in them. You just internally grimace and hope that it goes away really soon. When you add young people into the mix who don't have a fully developed brain, you're much more likely to find people like Shane Dawson and Anajan rise to fame. I am very proud of these kids for finally seeing through the BS. Brendan Curry, who killed Monique Munoz by hitting her car so forcefully with a Lamborghini SUV that her car was nearly split in half. A Lamborghini SUV he was allowed to use by his father, James Curry. The Lamborghini SUV, given to Brendan Curry, by his father James Curry, according to police, was being street raced by Brendan Curry, when it collided with Monique Munoz's car. Monique Munoz, whose car was hit by a Lamborghini SUV driven by Brendan Curry, had to be cut out of her vehicle, because it was that severely crushed around her by the SUV driven by Brendan Curry. Did I mention the Lamborghini SUV was being driven recklessly by Brendan Curry and that he had a history of reckless driving? Which ultimately led to the death of Monique Munoz. Wait, let me get this straight. Are you saying that Brendan Curry, that guy who killed Monique Munoz, did so by street racing his Lamborghini SUV right into Monique Munoz's car? The very same Lamborghini SUV given to Brendan Curry by his father, James Curry? Because I had heard that Brendan Curry, who had a history of reckless driving, had killed Monique Munoz by ramming into her car so forcefully with a Lamborghini SUV that her car was nearly split in half and Monique Munoz had to be cut out of the vehicle. But I guess I hadn't realized that the Lamborghini SUV that Brendan Curry used to kill Monique Munoz while street racing is the same one given to him by his father, James Curry. But you know, people make mistakes. Brendan Curry sure did, when he killed Monique Munoz by hitting her car so forcefully with a Lamborghini SUV that her car was nearly split in half. And James Curry sure did, when he loaned that Lamborghini SUV to his son Brendan Curry, who then went on to use that vehicle to kill Monique Munoz. And maybe people should be allowed to admit their mistakes and move on. Brendan Curry would like to move on, and maybe we should let him, otherwise the fact that Brendan Curry killed Monique Munoz by ramming a Lamborghini SUV into her car so forcefully while street racing that it nearly split Monique's car in half might follow him around forever. People who tried to Google Brendan Curry, maybe to decide if they want to date him or hire him, would inevitably run across the sad story of how his reckless behavior killed Monique Munoz. And I'm sure James Curry would like to move on, otherwise the fact that he loaned a Lamborghini SUV to his son Brendan Curry and then Brendan went right out and rammed it into Monique Munoz's car so hard that she had to be cut out of her vehicle and subsequently died, that fact could haunt him and his family for the rest of their lives. And you know what, I bet Monique Munoz would love to move on, except that she can't, seeing as how she died when Brendan Curry rammed into her car so hard while street racing his Lamborghini SUV that Monique Munoz's car was nearly split in half and she had to be cut out of her vehicle, and she died. Yup. Ethan and Mark's plan was a video every day for 1 year and that's it. The channel would vanish at the very second the timer ended. There's still clips of the videos on YouTube and both Mark and Ethan gave permission for clips to be uploaded but not the full videos. The clips are all that is left of Eunice and us. I hope once the pandemic is finally over, Ethan and Mark do some more videos together in person. I had one pop up the other day with Ethan, Mark, and Tyler trying to guess Aria flavors while blindfolded, and if they got it wrong, they got a bucket of ice-cold milk dumped on them. That was a funny video and was done before Eunice and us, I think. It fell down cause it lost the original goals' focus and became watered down general rebellion against everything. And of course the official told it to take it down by force eventually. But if there is something that is needed is the movement with main target of the original goals to regulate big finance. That is still the main battle to be had. While there was plenty of good to be learned from them, one of the main lessons rarely spoken is to consciously sustain the core focus and not allow it to become a platform for every thing. It can hijack it, always waters a protest down and weakens it, regardless how good the intentions are. First regulate the big finance, then fix the rest. Shania Montgomery seems to have vanished in a puff of logic. One day, she was Silicon Valley's Wonder Woman and making everyone else look bad by giving away every dollar she made and actively calling out all the tech billionaires on their greedy bullshit. She built huge developments to house the Bay Area homeless. She churned out amazing biotech at Bluethink and was about to make an announcement regarding BT's energy division. She was scheduled for a press conference and worldwide tour of TV appearances. Whatever was about to happen was going to be huge. All the morons on IRC rampantly speculated that it was something like super-efficient solar panels, a room-temp superconductor, a way to harvest vacuum energy, a fully realized AI, or some other sci-fi bullshit. Then fucking nothing happened. Nothing. Nada. If you Google for her, it's like she never existed. Jim Croce, he is not commonly heard of or talked about anymore, and the only significance he has in pop culture of today is that one of his songs was played in Django Unchained. Croce was a folk musician in the 60s-70s and was born on January 10, 1943 in South Philadelphia. Croce had two Italian parents and learned the accordion at the age of 5, and later on he would teach himself guitar. He went to college and would play with many different bands during his freshman year. After he graduated from college, Croce would work with a construction crew and taught guitar at a summer camp. He would then join the National Guard to avoid the draft and at the same time worked as a junior high teacher. In 1966 Croce met his future wife and would release his first solo album. Later that year he met his backup guitarist Jacobson, where they would try their luck in New York and would release one album, and after that Jacobson and Croce sold their guitars and got jobs. Croce would be a truck driver and wrote music at the same time, and then would partner back up with Jacobson, releasing songs such as Bad Bad Leroy Brown, Time in a Bottle, Photographs and Memories, I've Got a Name, and You Don't Mess Around with Jim. After this Croce would begin to be noticed and was about to take off until September 20, 1974. Croce died in a fatal plane crash at the age of 30. After this he just disappeared from the media. I had this idea for a movie in a similar vein of Cabin in the Woods, where these people move into a haunted house, except the plot is from the antagonist's perspective, where the ghosts haunting the house treat it like a job, and have interviews in front of a camera, reality show style, venting about how tedious the little aspects of the job are. The premise was this ghost had reluctantly picked up and followed this family to this new house in order to keep haunting them, and inadvertently stepped on another ghost's jurisdiction, and they'd bicker about who haunts who, antics ensue. I realize now that this is more or less just what we do in the shadows. Damn you, Taka. Edit. Alright guys, I'm trying to make it as a musician, and have made decent progress so far, and when I do, I'll go the Atlanta or Dave route and bring this up in a hopefully eventual pitch meeting. Thanks for your encouragement y'all, and please don't steal my idea, maybe? Give me 5 years. It's the dog's weapon, according to British comedian Mickey Flanagan. You go to pick up your girlfriend for a date and you're nice, smooth, and crispy. You'd rather not cuddle up to her dog when you've got everything perfect. Oh, I see, it's going to be that way, is it? I'll sort you out, son. The dog seems to say with his eyes. He throws his head back and starts licking his balls and arse enthusiastically while you roll your eyes. Your girlfriend comes down in her stunning red dress. She looks to the dog. Is my baby going to give me a kiss before I go out? She lovingly says, and cuddles him while he's licking her lips, neck, nose, and face. And all the time, he's looking at you. What ya gonna do now at? Or for fucking zebra crossings? Edit, no, I'm not a zebra. Looks like zebra crossing is UK English, and in US English you say pedestrian crossing. It's called zebra because it's striped black and white, just like, you guessed it, barcodes. It's too often that I experience this very bad scene, where I have to cross the street, a car is arriving and is very lightly hitting the brakes, but I'm not completely sure it's stopping, so I'll stand still waiting for them to actually stop at the crossing, and they will continue slowing down but not that much, until they arrive at the crossing. At this point one of two outcomes occur, either the guy accelerates again without stopping, or they hit the brakes very hard and make me cross. In both cases they are annoyed that I didn't understand that in all of that time they were actually slowing down to make me cross the road, and I didn't understand that, and I made them waste their precious 5 seconds. If there were front brake lights, I would know for sure they are really slowing down to make me cross. As teenagers, my friend and I used to get really stoned and go sit in this particular diner for hours and drink coffee until we sobered up. One time 2 cops in uniform came in and sat down a few tables away and ordered some food. At first we were kind of paranoid, but they didn't seem to be paying us any attention. My friend was the type of guy who liked to do wacky shit just to be funny, especially on a dare. He was also a big proponent of marijuana legalization. He talked about it all the time. I told him I thought it would be hilarious to go up and ask the cops their thoughts on marijuana legalization. We were both still pretty baked and he thought it was a funny idea too, so on a whim he decided to do it. He took off his jacket and set it on the bench next to him and walked calmly over to their table and began talking with them. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but the conversation appeared to be polite and lasted a minute or two. He came back to the table with a big stoned grin on his face. "Aw man, those cops seem okay to me. They both said they think weed should be legal and it's a waste of their time to go after pot smokers." A little while later the cops finished their food and left. One of them even smiled and nodded to my friend on the way out. We watched them get into their patrol car and drive out of the parking lot. We stayed for about another half hour and then left to catch the bus home. We got to the bus stop and just as we both lit up a cigarette a cop car pulled up with the same 2 cops inside. They had been sitting in the parking lot next door with their lights off waiting for us to come out of the diner. We obviously weren't old enough to be smoking cigarettes, and a check of our IDs confirmed that. They searched both of us and found a 5-sack of weed and a pipe in my friend's jacket. We both got tickets for underage smoking. He got cited for the pipe and marijuana, was given a court date, and taken home to his parents in the back of a I don't know if it's a myth or not, if it's ever been formally studied even, but I do really feel like it's had a lasting effect on my brain in a good way. My imagination is larger and grander, without a doubt. What I see and experience on those is a perception without pressure. Like normal thoughts and emotions but without negativity, and it makes them feel more beautiful. I'd be willing to bet that when you write down every great idea you've ever had, you were feeling hopeful/inspired and confident/good about your ideas without negativity. After all, writing down good ideas is a practice for creatives and thinkers that has a lot of merit. Semi-related, but I'm diagnosed with generalized anxiety. It's like worries and bothers that are abstract and difficult to put your finger on, but as part of your normal baseline, the rule not the exception. And let me tell you, it's one thing to know logically that stress and anxiety weigh you down, but a huge experience to actually feel the difference between one and the other, like putting down a heavy weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. I think a lot of people feel something like this when they take psychedelics, like a beautiful rose-colored lens to see through for a while. You have to come down to earth sometime, but the clouds and the sky are still worth seeing.